Chapter 1: The Taking. The children were taken at dawn on the colony world of Idolenfer. Morning light poured through steel-gray clouds as Imperial carriers descended in formation. Their engines hummed like thunder, shaking the metal rooftops of the human settlement. No alarms sounded, only the mechanical calm of inevitability. The Empire did not waste words on warnings. Inside the settlement school dome, 15-year-old Mara Lynn, 12-year-old Elias Ward, and 9-year-old Jonas Voss stood among their classmates as the black-armored soldiers entered. They wore masks without faces, voices filtered through metallic translators. "By decree of the Galactic Custodial Command," the lead soldier announced, "these 3 subjects are to be relocated for evaluation. Resistance will be met with disciplinary action." The teacher didn't move. Neither did the children. Outside, drones hovered, recording everything for propaganda, the Empire's so-called peaceful integration. Mara's voice broke the silence. "My father will come for me." The soldier turned, amused. "He will not." She didn't argue, she didn't blink. She simply smiled, small, almost imperceptible. It unsettled him more than any threat. Within minutes, the 3 children were marched to the carrier. No one dared intervene. Humanity had learned its place, or so the Empire believed. Hours later, deep in orbit, Admiral Kareth Vun of the Galactic Empire stood before a holographic projection of the captives. His yellow eyes scanned the reports flickering in alien script. 3 human juveniles," he said with disinterest. "Why bring them to my attention?" The officer beside him hesitated. "Sir, they were selected under the new Cultural Compliance Directive. The youngest shows anomalous reflex data. The girl, Mara Lynn, has a neuropattern reading beyond standard Deathworld baseline." "Deathworlders," Vun muttered, "always unpredictable." He dismissed the file with a flick of his clawed hand. "Send them to the Ardent Spire Academy. Break them early. They adapt slower that way." The officer hesitated again. "Sir, there are unusual ancestry flags in the database." "Delete them," Vun snapped. "I tire of Earth's ghosts. The war is over. Humanity is broken." But humanity was not broken. It was watching. On a distant moon cloaked in perpetual twilight, Captain Ryland Ward received a coded message. A short burst transmission encrypted through layers of dead channels once used during the Silent Rebellion. He read it twice, his jaw clenched. Then he closed the device and spoke softly, his voice carrying the weight of long-buried violence. "They took Elias." Across from him, Sergeant Mara Voss, Jonas's mother, stopped reassembling her rifle. "You're sure?" Ryland nodded. "Confirmed ID tags, Empire custody." For a long moment, neither spoke. The small outpost was silent except for the hum of the life support systems. Finally, a voice came through the comlink, rough and heavy with age. "Then it begins," said General Nathan Lynn. Ryland straightened. "Sir, you're alive." "I told them I'd disappear, not die," Lynn replied, voice steady as stone. "The Empire made a mistake. They took our children. They will learn what that means." Voss's gaze was cold. "How many are left?" "Enough," Lynn said. "Enough to remind them why they feared us." In the Ardent Spire Academy, a citadel of glass and alloy hanging above the blue-white storm clouds of planet Thelax, the 3 children were processed. Uniforms issued, ID chips embedded, their human accents mocked by instructors with voices that never rose above disdain. Elias learned quickly to stay silent. Jonas watched everything, his small eyes always calculating. But Mara did not bow. She met her instructor's eyes when they threatened her. She memorized the layout of corridors, the rhythm of guard rotations, the distance between her dorm window and the external maintenance rail. She was waiting. On the 3rd night, an instructor struck Elias for refusing to answer a question in proper Imperial tongue. Mara reacted before she realized she'd moved. The chair in her hand splintered against the wall. missing the alien by an inch. She didn't cry, she didn't shout, she just stared. The instructor froze, uncertain whether to punish or retreat. That hesitation saved his life. For in that instant, the Academy's surveillance AI logged a neural surge in Mara's cortex. Pattern match, classified genetic sequence. The AI flagged the data and sent it up the chain. The code passed through 8 encrypted relays before reaching the Empire's central node. By morning, Admiral Vun had the report. He studied it in silence. The designation in red letters chilled him. Genetic signature, Lin protocol, status, restricted. Access level, war archive only. Vun's throat tightened. Lin, he whispered, impossible. He activated a private link. Contact the custodial council, now. Back on the moon outpost, General Lin gathered the remnants of a forgotten unit, veterans, ghosts of the human war, the ones the Empire believed dead or broken. He projected the coordinates of Thelax onto the holomap. 3 children, 1 academy, 1 empire that believes humanity kneels. Captain Ward's voice was low. Do we have authorization? Lin looked at him, eyes sharp as forged steel. We are the authorization. Voss smiled grimly. Then it's open season. Lin turned toward the viewport. Beyond the glass, the stars stretched cold and silent. Somewhere among them, his daughter waited. He remembered her last words before he'd sent her to safety years ago. You said we'd be safe, Dad. He'd been wrong. Prepare the fleet, Lin said. No transmissions, no signals. We move in shadows. Understood, General, Ward said. Voss locked the final magazine into her rifle. They wanted compliance, she murmured. They'll get consequence. In the Academy dormitory, Mara Lin lay awake, staring at the faint glow of the ceiling. She didn't understand why the air tasted strange, why the instructors seemed nervous now, or why her dreams were filled with burning skis and the sound of thunder. Elias turned toward her from the next bed. You think they'll send us home? No, she said softly. Home's coming here. Jonas whispered from the shadows. What does that mean? Mara's eyes didn't leave the ceiling. It means my father's awake. In the void between stars, 20 stealth cruisers ignited their silent drives, human technology blacklisted by the Empire decades ago. The transmissions were encrypted with a single line of code, looping endlessly through every frequency. You took our children, we take your world. The storm had begun. Chapter 2, The Empire's Denial. The Imperial Council met in silence, a rare and heavy stillness that even the automated recorders hesitated to break. The chamber floated above the planet Turth, suspended in a halo of light and arrogance. The 12 counselors sat in crescent formation, their robes gleaming with the emblems of authority. Admiral Kareth Vun stood at the center, hands clasped behind his back, eyes hollow from the night's reports. The holoscreen flickered before him, replaying fragments from Ardent Spire Academy, footage of the human girl's defiance, the neural spike, the name. Lin. Explain this, hissed Chancellor Odov, a serpentine figure with silver scales and too many teeth. How did a restricted human lineage end up in our custody? Vun kept his voice even. Unknown, Chancellor. The humans concealed their ancestry. The genetic sequence wasn't flagged until now. Counselor Vath, whose species looked like carved obsidian, leaned forward. Lin, as in General Nathan Lin, the Butcher of Hellion. Vun hesitated, then nodded once, confirmed by archive cross-match. The chamber erupted in low voices. The name was legend, half myth, half warning. The general who had once turned a single human fleet into a phantom army that dismantled 3 imperial task groups without ever being seen. His disappearance had been celebrated as victory. Superstition, snapped Odov, slamming a hand against the table. The war ended 20 years ago. Humanity is scattered. Their fleets are gone. Vath's obsidian eyes didn't blink. If Lin's bloodline survives, they are not gone. They are waiting. Vun broke his silence. We should relocate the children immediately. Off-world, secure facility, deep archive. Odav sneered. You mean hide them? That would make us look weak. Vun's jaw tightened. It would keep us alive. The Chancellor rose, robes glimmering under the light. The Empire does not fear ghosts. He turned, voice amplified through the chamber's acoustics. Maintain current operations. The Academy remains functional. If humans seek to test our authority again, we will remind them why they bowed. The Council murmured approval. Only Vun's expression remained unreadable, because behind his composed exterior, dread had already taken root. At that very hour, far beyond the Empire's border signals, humanity moved. In the black silence of the Idolan Drift, General Nathan Lin stood aboard the command deck of the HSS Requiem, a stealth dreadnought long erased from every registry. The hull shimmered with active cloaking membranes, hiding it even from the stars. The crew waited, 50 men and women who had not spoken their names aloud in years. No insignia, no flags, just a symbol burned into their armor, a crimson line through the Imperial crest. Fleet status, Lin asked. Shadow squadrons report full readiness, Captain Ward replied. We have synchronized jump sequences to the Thelax system. Estimated breach time, 16 hours. Lin studied the map, a holographic swirl of star routes, Imperial patrol lines, and weak points. The children's location pulsed at the center like a heartbeat. 16 hours, he repeated quietly. They won't be ready. Ward looked up. Permission to speak freely, sir. Always. Why not strike their command centers first? Turth, Hellion Prime, the Council worlds. We could cripple them before they realize what's happening. Lin turned, his expression carved from calm fury. Because this isn't war. Not yet. This is warning. Voss, standing by the console, understood. You want them to feel it first, the fear. He nodded. They took children, so we take their certainty. Back at Ardent Spire Academy, the days had turned colder. The instructors no longer spoke with confidence. Security doubled. Drills intensified. But fear, though unspoken, had crept through the walls. Mara Lin felt it before she saw it. The tension in the guards, the whispered messages between instructors. She noticed the sky traffic had changed. Fewer transports arrived, and those that did left without broadcasting routes. Elias caught her glancing through the observation window. You're thinking again, he said quietly. I'm always thinking. You think they're scared. Mara's lips curved faintly. They should be. Jonas looked up from his bunk, his small voice steady. Why? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm chimed. A test signal, but with the wrong tone. The Academy's AI system hesitated for half a second before resuming its loop. Mara caught it. No one else did. Her father was out there, and he was close. The Empire noticed first in its farthest sectors, trade convoys vanishing, sensor satellites failing, comm relays flickering out mid-transmission. Official reports called it spatial interference. Unofficial whispers used another word, revenant. Admiral Vun stood alone in his quarters reviewing lost logs. 8 supply routes disrupted in one day. Patrol frigates missing. Drone swarms offline, all without combat alerts, without debris, without survivors. Then came the encrypted message. No origin, no trace, just a single line repeating in standard galactic code. You took our children, we take your silence. Vun's hands trembled. He opened a secure channel to the Chancellor. Sir, we have a situation. Odav appeared on screen, irritation painted across his scaled features. Not now, Admiral. The Council is in session. This cannot wait. We are being hunted. By whom? Vun hesitated. By humans. Odav laughed, the sound sharp and hollow. Impossible, they don't have the reach. Then explain this. Vun sent the transmission. The Chancellor's laughter died as the message repeated across his feed, in every Imperial dialect, even those classified. The lights in the chamber flickered. Vun leaned closer. They're inside our systems. Odav bared his teeth, then purged the networks. I already did, Vun said. They anticipated it. For the first time in decades, the Empire's arrogance cracked. Chapter 3: The Storm. At Ardent Spire, the Academy's alarm finally blared for real. The AI's voice sounded calm, but its tone betrayed it. Attention! Unidentified objects detected beyond orbital perimeter. Maintain shelter protocol. Mara, Elias, and Jonas exchanged glances. The instructor scrambled, trying to appear composed. Elias whispered, "Is it them?" Mara nodded, "It's them." She could almost hear the hum of approaching drives, a frequency no human should have recognized, but she did. It was the sound of homecoming. A guard barked orders, motioning them toward the shelter bay. Mara didn't move. "Miss Lin," the alien snarled, leveling his weapon. She met his eyes. "You won't need that." Before he could respond, the lights dimmed. Every device in the academy went silent. Then a voice filled the air, deep and unmistakably human. "This is General Nathan Lin of the Human Expeditionary Command. You have something that belongs to us." The alien froze, weapon shaking. Mara smiled for the first time in days. On the Requiem, Lin stood at the central console, the Academy's outline glowing on the display. "Transmit visual," he ordered. The camera feed showed chaos, guards shouting, students panicking, energy fields collapsing. Ward stepped beside him. "Orders, sir." Lin stared at the screen, eyes hard as iron. "Recover the children, leave the rest as a message." Voss cracked a faint grin, and the message. Lin's voice was quiet but carried through the entire ship. "That humanity remembers." The fleet advanced through the void like shadows reborn. The Empire had denied the storm. Now it would feel the rain. The first strike came without warning, without the courtesy of an ultimatum. Above Thelax, the orbital sensors screamed alive a second before they died. One moment, the skis shimmered with the Empire's flawless order. The next, they fractured under the weight of human precision. Invisible vessels, ships built from forgotten blueprints, dropped from hyperspace like shadows made solid. No banners, no call signs, no mercy. The Requiem led the assault. Its black hull absorbed light. Its engines, whisper quiet. Within its bridge, General Nathan Lin stood unmoving as the display filled with collapsing Imperial signatures. "Target 1 down," reported Voss. "Thelax defense grid neutralized." Captain Ward's voice followed, calm and cold. "Enemy cruisers deploying countermeasures." "Don't engage yet," Lin said. "Let them think we're ghosts." He watched the tactical map ripple with confusion. The Empire's command channels overlapped, drowning in their own noise. His lips barely moved as he murmured, "Now they'll remember what fear feels like." Outside, kinetic rods rained through the upper atmosphere, silent silver bolts that struck like divine judgment. Every impact turned the sky into liquid fire. Inside the Ardent Spire Academy, chaos had taken physical form. Alarms blared in every language. Guards shouted contradictory orders. Students were herded into bunkers that no longer had power. Mara Lin stood near the observation window, her reflection lit by the glow of descending fire. She didn't blink as the sky burned. Elias clutched her arm. "Mara, what's happening?" "Rescue," she said. Jonas pressed a small hand against the window. "That's rescue." She nodded once. "They're teaching the Empire how humans say hello." The Academy's central AI flickered to life, stuttering in mechanical panic. "Warning! Breach detected in orbital sector 3. Unknown forces," then static. The system went dead. In orbit, Admiral Vun's flagship Dominion Spear, tried to regain control of the fleet formation. "Pull them into Formation Delta," he barked. The tactical officer's hands moved frantically across the holographic console. "Sir, I can't. Communications are looping. They're feeding us our own orders." "What?" Before Vun could demand clarity, a massive tremor ripped through the ship. The hull groaned. Lights dimmed. "Direct hit on dorsal array," shouted the officer. "But there's no projectile. We didn't detect anything incoming." Vun gritted his teeth. "Stealth weaponry, it's impossible. They shouldn't have that tech." Yet deep inside, he knew the truth. It was human, the same kind of ingenuity that had broken their fleets decades ago. The kind the Empire had sworn was extinct. A transmission came through, hijacking every Imperial frequency. The voice was unmistakably human, low and steady. "We warned you." Then the feed ended. The Requiem's hangar doors opened. Dropships slid into the Storm's sleek, matte-black craft designed for one purpose: insertion. Voss led the first strike team. Her armor sealed, her rifle calibrated to pierce Imperial shields. The HUD displayed their target coordinates, the Academy's core. Ward's voice came through the channel. "Ground interference heavy. You'll have 2 minutes of silence before comms reconnect." 2 minutes is plenty," Voss replied. The dropship breached atmosphere, the hull rattling as plasma burned across its shields. Below, the ardent spire glowed like a wound in the clouds. "Brace." The ship broke through the upper spire dome in a shower of glass and smoke. Voss hit the ground running before the debris settled, her team fanning out with practiced precision. "Secure the children," she ordered. "Leave the rest." The Academy guards were disoriented, firing blind. Humans didn't hesitate. Their weapons hummed once, clean and final. Mara Lynn heard the explosions draw closer. Her heartbeat matched their rhythm. Elias crouched behind her. "They'll kill us." "No," she said, "they're here for us." The door to their dorm bay exploded inward. Smoke filled the room. Through it stepped a figure in black armor, visor glowing faint blue. The soldier's voice came through the static, calm. "Mara Lynn." She froze. "Who are you?" The soldier stepped closer, lowering the weapon. "Your father sent us." Mara's voice cracked for the first time. "My father's dead." The soldier reached up and removed her helmet. Voss's scarred face appeared. Not even close. The extraction was surgical. No screaming orders, no wasted motion. Humans moved like a machine made of vengeance. Within minutes, the children were aboard the dropship, leaving behind a building reduced to wreckage. From orbit, the Empire watched its own academy collapse. The live feeds cut out as human jammers consumed every signal. On the Requiem, Lynn stood by the comms terminal. Team Alpha secured. "Confirmed," Ward replied. "Children aboard, minimal resistance." Lynn exhaled slowly. "Good, begin withdrawal." "What about the fleet, sir?" He turned toward the stars. "Leave a reminder." Ward didn't need clarification. Seconds later, the human cruisers released micro-payloads, self-replicating interference nodes that embedded into Imperial satellites. Every broadcast from Thelax now carried a single image: 3 children standing beneath a human flag. No words, no symbols, just a reminder that the Empire's control was an illusion. Admiral Vun watched the broadcast with a sinking stomach. The Chancellor's voice barked over the comm. "What is this mockery?" Vun didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the image, 3 faces, human, defiant. He recognized one instantly. The resemblance was unmistakable. "General Lin's daughter," he whispered. The Chancellor snarled. "Destroy that planet. Erase every human settlement within range." Vun looked up, his tone calm but final. "If we do that, we will only prove their point." "You dare defy me?" "I dare survive," Vun said quietly and cut the link. As the human fleet jumped to silent warp, Mara Lynn sat strapped beside the viewport, watching the stars blur into streaks of light. She still couldn't fully grasp what had happened: the rescue, the fire, the strangers who fought like ghosts. Elias leaned forward, wide-eyed. "Are they soldiers?" Jonas whispered, "They move like it." Voss removed her helmet, her voice soft but steady. "They're more than soldiers, they're reminders." "Reminders of what?" Elias asked. "That the galaxy forgets humans at its own risk." Mara turned to her, the question trembling in her throat. "Where are we going?" "To your father," Voss said. The girl looked away, tears threatening to form but never falling. "He kept his promise," she murmured. Voss smiled faintly, "Always does." Far behind them, Thelax burned. Imperial cruisers drifted in silence, their engines cold. The survivors who looked up that night saw the stars shimmer in patterns they didn't understand, shapes that spelled a message in old Earth code. "We remember." It was not a declaration of war, it was a warning. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Empire finally listened. Chapter 4: The Dark. The Requiem drifted through the silence of deep space, cloaked from every Imperial sensor. Inside its steel corridors, the rescued children were ghosts among soldiers, 3 small reminders of the cost that had rekindled humanity's wrath. General Nathan Lynn stood before the observation window, his reflection framed by stars. The warship's engines whispered in low frequency, a heartbeat of steel and vengeance. He hadn't spoken since the extraction. Even now, as the universe glittered before him, his mind replayed the moment he'd heard his daughter's voice through comms, alive, steady, unbroken. He'd promised himself he would never go back to war. Promises, he realized, were luxuries the Empire had burned away. Behind him, Captain Ward approached. "They're awake, you should see them." Lynn didn't turn. "How are they holding up?" "Better than most recruits after their first battle. The girl, Mara, she's sharp. The other 2, frightened but learning." Lynn's jaw tightened. "They'll need to learn faster." Ward hesitated. "They're children." Lynn's eyes shifted to the stars. So were ours once, and they turned into the people who broke empires. He finally turned away, cloak trailing like a shadow, and followed Ward to the medical deck. The children sat together, wrapped in gray blankets, the sterile light reflecting in their tired eyes. Voss leaned against the console, watching them quietly. The room smelled faintly of ozone and metal polish. When the door opened, everyone turned. Mara Lynn froze. For a heartbeat, she didn't recognize the man who entered. He wasn't wearing the armor of her memories. No medals, no rank insignia, just a dark uniform and the weight of command etched into his face. "Father," her voice was barely a whisper. Nathan Lynn stopped a few steps away. His expression remained composed, but the slight tremor in his hands betrayed everything he refused to say. He nodded once. "You've grown." She stood, unsure if she should approach. "You're real." A faint smile crossed his lips. "Unfortunately." That broke the distance. She stepped forward and he caught her. The years between them vanished in silence. For a brief human moment, the universe faded, the vengeance, the battles, the ghosts. Ward cleared his throat softly. "General, we have incoming data. The Empire's response is escalating." Lynn let go, his face hardening again. "Of course it is." Across the galaxy, the Empire's retaliation ignited. On the border colonies, human outposts were scorched from orbit. Civilian transports vanished mid-jump. Planetary broadcasts showed burning skis and marching legions. The Empire called it Operation Cleansing. To them, it was justice. To humanity, it was a declaration. Admiral Kareth Vun watched from his flagship's command deck as fleets mobilized. His orders were clear. Hunt down the Requiem fleet, destroy Lynn, erase every trace of human defiance. Yet something in him resisted the certainty. He'd seen the recordings, the precision, the silence, the message burned into the sky. That wasn't rebellion. That was memory made weapon. He turned to his aide. Send no broadcast to the council. No propaganda, no speeches, just readiness. The aide hesitated. Sir, the Chancellor demands a public declaration. Vun's voice was low. The Chancellor doesn't understand what's coming. He thinks this is about children. It isn't. He looked out at the stars, their cold light reflecting in his eyes. It's about ghosts we buried alive. On the Requiem, Lin gathered his officers in the war chamber. The holographic map hovered in midair, pulsing with Imperial troop movements. Red markers multiplied by the minute. They're retaliating across the fringe sectors, Ward said. We can't hold territory. We'd stretch ourselves thin. Lin nodded. We won't hold anything. We'll make them overextend. Voss leaned forward, arms crossed. You mean draw them out? He met her eyes. No, I mean make them fear moving at all. Ward frowned. You're suggesting psychological warfare. I'm suggesting we turn their empire into a rumor, Lin replied. They rely on control, on order. Take that away and they crumble. Every fleet, every station, hit one at a time, vanish before the next can respond. Voss grinned. Classic Lin protocol. He gave a rare smirk. You remember. Before anyone could respond, the door slid open. Mara Lin stepped in, defiance in her stance. You're talking about killing them. The room went still. Lin regarded her calmly. They killed first. Her jaw tightened. They killed children who didn't fight. You're planning to do the same. Ward shifted uncomfortably. General. Lin raised a hand, silencing him. You think war distinguishes between guilt and innocence. Her eyes flashed. Then what's the point of being human? For the first time, Lin's mask cracked. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and said quietly, the point is remembering that it matters, even when no one else does. The room was silent. Then softly Voss said, she's right. We need precision, not slaughter. Lin nodded slowly. Then we strike clean, no collateral, only those who choose this war. Mara Lin met his gaze. Then I'll help. His brows furrowed. You're not ready. I was ready the moment they took me. Her words hung in the air, sharper than any weapon. Lin said nothing. The decision was already made. Hours later in the training deck, the hum of machinery echoed. Mara stood before a holographic simulation of an Imperial officer, replicating interrogation scenarios. Her hands trembled at first, then steadied. Each move she made was precise, inherited, not taught. Voss watched from the observation bay. She's got your instinct, she said quietly to Lin. He didn't answer. He just watched his daughter disarm the hologram with fluid efficiency, eyes cold but controlled. Ward approached. She learns fast. She has to, Lin replied. The lights flickered. An alert tone pulsed through the deck. Incoming signal, Ward said. Not a threat, a broadcast. They hurried to the command deck. On the main screen, Admiral Vun appeared, his expression grim. General Lin, I know you can hear me. I'm transmitting on an open channel. I won't waste time with threats. You struck my world. You took from my empire, but I understand why. You think I don't remember what we did to yours. I do. That's why I offer a proposal. Meet me. Neutral ground. No weapons. We end this before it consumes everything. The transmission cut. Ward exhaled. He's bluffing. Lin's eyes narrowed. No, he's desperate, which makes him dangerous. Voss folded her arms. You can't trust him. I don't, Lin said. But if he's calling for parley, he's already doubting his own empire. That's leverage. Mara looked up at him. You're going. He nodded. Someone has to remind him what humans look like up close. As the Requiem prepared for silent transit, Mara Lin watched the stars pass beyond the viewport. She didn't feel triumph or relief, only the pull of inevitability. Jonas spoke softly beside her. Do you think it'll ever stop? She thought for a long moment. Maybe, but not until they understand. Understand what? He asked. That you don't take from Earth, she said quietly, echoing her father's words, and walk away untouched. Outside, the void stretched endless and cold, but somewhere in its depths, the faint pulse of light marked the meeting place, neutral ground between vengeance and survival. And both sides were already walking toward it.